Trying to come up with clever things to say in your messaging only to hear crickets on the other side of your emails or your offers. So frustrating, right? Well, today I'm going to show you the voice of customer data, how to get that, and the 3 super easy strategies to get you started. Hey there, I'm Christine Loriano of Basics Marketing, where I help product makers who are making a difference, like you, write marketing messages that help you make more money. So today we're going to talk about voice of customer data. What does that mean? Here's the thing. A lot of times makers, small business owners, people in business in general, you even see this in large companies, think that they are their own ideal customers. We think we are, but there's a lot of other people out there that are in your sphere of pain, let's put it that way, your challenges, or there's things that are going on, that there is a gold mine of information to gather from them. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So what is VOC? You'll hear me say VOC or voice of customer interchangeably. VOC is where we're going to be gathering the voice of the customer. See, we get caught in our own heads a lot of times when we try to come up with our own marketing messages, especially if you're a solopreneur, small business entrepreneur, maybe with a couple people on your team, yet you're the one still writing all your messaging. So here's the thing. No more free thinking has to be involved in this. Now, voice of customer data is where we're gathering the information that other people are talking about. Their pains, their challenges, the benefits they found of this other really cool product, the solutions they found. We're looking for all of it, because once we understand what our ideal customers are actually talking about, we can write messages that speak directly to them, like getting into their heads. So today I'm going to go through a couple of things for you and show you how to get started super easily. Now, why do we need this? Have you ever read a great email or product description that feels like it's in your head, like they know what you're thinking? Right down to, say, they know that you watched Sherlock season 4, episode 2 last night on Netflix. How does that make you feel when you read a message like that that feels so deeply into who you are that you must keep reading? Those are the things I'm going to show you today in our video, because the secret to all of that is voice of customer, VOC. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to go over some examples for you on how to find your voice of customer data in three easy steps. Okay, first of all, what I'm going to talk to you about, there's 3 ways to gather your voice of customer data. You can do surveys and interviews, you can do review mining, you can even go into forums and groups and comments to be able to look around, see what people are saying, what's going on inside those conversations that are happening. So here we have it. Let me get over to the first one, which is interviews and surveys. I put this little survey together for a customer that I'm working with, and I can show you this today because it's pretty generic, but what we're going to do is really get to those questions that are going to have people thinking about what's the pains, what are the challenges, what will happen to them if they don't solve this particular challenge or issue, and what kind of solutions have they found, what has worked, what hasn't, what are some of the objections, and how are those things answered for the customer. So in this one, here's a survey. You can do this. I did this right in Google Drive on Forms. You can have a little bit of an intro here, like I said, because you kind of want to, giving up information for people, especially in interviews and surveys, can be a little bit hard for people to really dig in. So we want to make sure that the person on the other end of the survey feels comfortable. So what I wrote is, big thanks for taking the time to give your thoughts and input for this article. So I'm doing some review mining for an article. I didn't say interview, I didn't say survey, I said thoughts and input, because people are more likely to give their thoughts and input and answer some questions than if they feel that they're in an interview that feels like all eyes are on them and there's only right answers, no wrongs. In this kind of a survey, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just their input. So, and then I continue to say, there are 12 questions, which will take you anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how detailed you get. So I'm giving them the option to write as little or as much as they want. The goal is to give your perspective and professional expertise to the subject. The more you dive into the details, the more in-depth the article can be. With your knowledge and expertise, I encourage you to put your thoughts and ideas in here unedited and follow your own rabbit hole. I'll take all of the structure and the edits in the article. So if that sounds good, let's get going. And then here are my questions. Let's start by telling me about the subject, trying to get them to open up. And what we're doing in the interview, same thing goes for interviews as well as surveys like this. We're asking open-ended questions because yes or no questions, you're not getting much voice of customer data. You're not getting them to open up to you. So we really want them to open up. So I'm starting with, let's talk about whatever the subject matter is for the article. Now, in this instance, I'm doing the same questions for the interviews or the surveys because we can see there might be a little bit different answer, and it also gives me the same structure to go on, whether it's an interview or the survey. And then I ask a lot of what questions? What's going on for your reader in their, it could be their client, their business, or their life before they came to you. What led them to start looking for your subject or your product? What's the challenges or issues they needed resolving? We want to find out what those pain points are. What have they thought? What have they tried or thought about before? Because we know that this is probably not the first time that they're looking for an answer to their question, their issue. To search for the subject online, what would they Google? This helps us find those words, their words that they're looking for to do searches for. Not necessarily keywords, but what's going on in their mind and what kind of words are they using. So this was my survey that I put together. And what I can do is give you a copy of the template in the notes. The other thing I want to go to now is I want to talk a little bit, I'm going to skip a little bit. I'm going to forums, groups, and comments first, and then we're going to go back to review mining. On Facebook, there are thousands and thousands of groups. There are ways to find information what people are talking about just kind of by sneaking around and looking through those groups and seeing what people are saying. So you have the information, the questions you want answered. You want to see what people are saying. You can get a boatload of information in your Facebook groups, whatever groups you're belonging to. Some are public, some are private. I'm going to go into my group alone so I can show you what you can do to go into a group and mine for messages and comments. So we have particular comments going on here. This is for hair care products. And you can see people were having a discussion. This is a great place to come and find some of those comments and some of the things that people are replying to when it comes to, for example, let's say for hair care. We've got a whole bunch of different comments. We've got, these are great pictures. Like what are these saying? Okay, so the other thing I want to do is now let's go to articles. So what I did is I found this article here in an Outside Magazine. Skincare routines for pro adventurers. There's some good info in here, but you know what this does is this gives me a whole list of products that I can go search for. So let's take the first one, Ursa Major. I happen to know that they get some really good reviews. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take Ursa Major. I'm going to go over to their essentials, face wipes, and let's see what people are talking about. These are great for outdoors. They're, on the go. If you're camping, if you're in your car, if you're going on a journey, whatever, you can get this essential face wipe. So if you're writing messages for this, we can go back down here and look at their reviews. Cool thing, they have 75 reviews here. So what we can do is we can go and mine for these reviews and pull out some voice of customer data. How about this one? These wipes are perfect thing for the gym sesh or a hike. That's a pretty good piece of voice of customer data to grab. They feel great and get rid of all of the icky skin off of your skin efficiently. Now, the icky stuff. Icky stuff, pretty sticky word that we might want to put into and clip that and put into our messaging as sticky messaging, not just regular words, but that's kind of cool, right? So we can go through and look through the different reviews here. I like this one. I'm a gross human and sometimes run errands after I hit the gym while still slightly sweaty. That's not only is that pretty sticky, but that gets down to some pretty cool details that you can talk about in your messages. For example, if you're Ursa Major, I would use some of that in my messaging. So that's how you use reviews. And your product reviews have a ton of information, and these are your ideal clients. So I want you to take a look at those reviews and really dive in and see what kind of cool stuff. Remember, you're looking for, if you're using the formulas, PAS, you're looking for their pain, you're looking through, the agitation of that. For example, not only is it a pain point, but if I don't do this, running errands after the gym, I feel like a pretty gross human. And then the solutions, hey, this stuff wipes off like no other thing I've seen. Or this, other wipes leave a funky residue. Those are some pretty good voice of customer data points to grab. Last one we're going to go to is number 3 is Amazon review mining. This is another great place to go grab reviews. Now, what I did here is I picked an air fryer because, again, whether it's skincare, whether it's outdoor, whether it's an air fryer, you can find some great voice of customer data right here on Amazon. So here, I just grabbed this one. Look, we've got 2,865 reviews to grab information from. What I like to do on this, and this is great information that I learned from my mentor, when we look at reviews that are 4s, even, 5s, we're getting a lot of praise, we're getting a lot of, oh, these things are super great. But what we want to do is look at the reviews that are, I like 4s, 3s, I even like some 1s because we can get some real pain points there. 4s, so let's go look at some 4s. Some of these is all right, best air fryer on the market. My wife uses it every day, making bacon, sausage, and home fries for breakfast and many sumptuous meals. Right away, I grabbed something that actually is pretty interesting for me to use. Even this, we get frozen haddock fillets. So on Fridays, we make our fish fries. This is exactly what your customers are saying and the juicy details that you can get. I want to jump over here real quick. Now, those are some pretty great things as far as solutions, benefits, desires, things like that that people are talking about. Let's see if we have in a review, a 1-star review, if we get anything that is objections or more pain points. We've used this item several times, have not had one item come out crispy and not burned. So you know what? That is actually a really great pain point that you can talk about in the pain and agitation part of your copy. Having that, that one item never come out crispy, never, or maybe come out burned. So those are some of the things I wanted to show you really quickly in choosing your voice of customer data. Play around with it. Again, voice of customer data is really, really handy for finding the words that your customers are saying. Look for empathy, look for those pain points, look for the objections, look for the solutions, the benefits, all those things you can find right in your voice of customer data. And this way, you actually don't have to free think and start writing from whatever is in your head. You've got it all laid out right there that you can use a formula, whether it's PAS, whether it's ADA, whether it's the Ps. You can find those formulas and start just plugging in that information, and then you can go back through and start adding in that personality, adding it so it makes it really readable for your reader. So that's a quick one on voice of customer data. I've got some links below for you. I'll put in the article. I'll give you the survey. I'll give you the template of that survey. I will put in some ideas for the formulas. And in one of my next videos, I'll show you how to actually use those formulas, grabbing your VOC, plugging it into those formulas. So again, not a whole lot of free thinking you have to do for writing those messages that are going to make you more money. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.